This Thursday night football props edition of the Sports Gambling Podcast is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog has just added Pick'em Scorchers, where you can win 100x. Plus, every Sunday they're giving away $100,000. Use promo code SGPN at Underdog Fantasy for a 100% deposit bonus up to $500. We're also brought to you by BetterHelp. Make your brain your friend with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/SGPN to get 10% off your first month. Finally, we're brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting research platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit HOFBets.com. Use code SGPN to get 50% off your first month and start making smarter bets today.
This is Nate Collins. You're listening to SGPN. Let it ride.
To the Sports Gambling Podcast. I'm Sean, second the money green with my partner in picks, Ryan, Real Money Kramer. What's happening, Kramer?
Dog.
Hello, Sean. How we feeling? I'm feeling pretty good considering how shitty my NFL picks were last week. Yeah, I'm gonna eat it. I felt a little unlucky. If I was Brandon Lang, I might point out that I got you on the right side
of that one.
Titans game until they brought in the finisher, Gardner Minshew. I threw this stat out, Sean. Anthony Richardson. He has now started only one game, started and finished one out of his 4 games in his career. Missed a game, started and finished a game, started and didn't finish 3 games.
He just can't finish.
When does it?
He can't finish.
He should go. Deshaun Watson also hurt. Maybe they could rehab in the same facility and work on their finishing moves together.
How did we not?
I'm not touching Deshaun Watson.
It went from Deshaun Watson probably going to play to now he's going to miss multiple weeks. It almost feels like in the NFL, the more info we have, the less info we have. We've never had a time with more reporting.
I think the takeaway is we have to start noting these teams and just how trustworthy.
Because some are clearly shysters.
Well, like, for example, wow. I mean, 2023. Can you say that on the open airwaves? I think when you look at the Brown situation, I worry that how did we not, like, again, I brought up an inkling to you on like a Friday, still not really why, like maybe that's why the line's moving. Now he potentially going to be missing the game coming off the bye.
Yeah.
Well, so what's the point of the injury report? Why did we get rid of probable, doubtful? Well, maybe we need. I'm calling for full transparency, Commissioner. I want, if we're going to legalize gambling and you guys are going to have official partners who are gambling partners, you have to get this right. You got to get it right, and you have to make sure, because the other problem they have is, you're giving the information to DraftKings before you're giving it to the public.
Well,
so get ahead of it. Be very transparent. You can't have a guy go from questionable, no big deal, to not playing for 3 weeks.
I just cannot wait until ESPN Bet launches the shitstorm they're going to be getting, because even now everyone, when they lose a bet, it's rigged, conspiracy theories. But could you imagine if Adam Schefter, the morning of, like we saw in the Cleveland game where it was late news at DTR, he reports it and they go, he probably told ESPN Bet before. Like that is going to be and especially with the draft,
Schefter's
where there actually is tipping of picks.
Schefter's in a tough spot.
I mean, they already saw it last year. Last NBA draft was shams and the FanDuel stuff. I honestly don't even think there is any sort of collusion going on.
No, but
you set yourself up for all that kind of bullshit.
It's the monopoly aspect of, you can't be the person reporting the information first and also have an arm of your business be responsible.
Be a place that would benefit from that information.
I mean, it's literally, let's take it to the stock market. It's insider trading, which again, someone would probably counter by saying that's already happening. People are taking advantage of information ahead of time because they have a relationship. But with gambling, you have, I mean, if you want to find a way to make this fail, this is how like some activist group can get behind it and actually kind of have a case to be like, that seems crooked to me.
Yeah,
That does actually seem a little crooked. So, I mean, it's great, right? ESPN got to leave the media business. The betting business is too lucrative.
Yes, we will take over the media content business.
No one had this issue when it was Barstool, by the way, which is pretty funny.
Yeah, because
No one was crying like, wow, he's got but Big Cat's league. He's telling the Barstool people first.
Yes, they were not getting that. All right, we are going to talk Thursday night picks. We're going to be joined by Scott Reichel in a couple minutes here.
Oh, the man.
But before we even get to that, where are we at with Travis Kelce and the injury?
Is he hurt? Is his heart hurt or is his ankle?
Well,
hurt?
let's do it as a Taylor Swift the Taylor Swift song, Eric.
Oh no.
Everything was so tranquil. Then you went and hurt your ankle.
Woo.
Now I don't know what player props to play. And you're playing with my heart every day, Travis. Are you gonna play on the game on the field or just play with my heart? I know it's real. There you go.
I've been bamboozled. I didn't realize Sean had a bit plan. This was amazing.
Oh no!
Before the show, he goes, "What are we going to talk about?"
Oh, I did
before we get to Scott. And I go, I'm sure some stuff will come up. Little did I know, Sean had a song set up.
Well, honestly, what inspired it, I was not planning on going into the chat, but Making Bacon, aka our favorite New Zealand butcher, was saying, anyone heard anything on Kelsey's ankle? There will be a song about that. And so I improvised one in honor of Making Kelsey or Making Bacon.
He's playing. I did see that the Swifties are starting to get behind the grass versus turf debate on the grass side now that Kelsey has been hurt on artificial turf.
Someone said if the Swifties get the NFL to go to all grass, would be so hilarious.
I'm in.
Yeah.
Did you know? I was talking to the kids about Taylor Swift. Did you know Taylor Swift not cool for the young people? I mean, at least the young people that live in my house.
So maybe it's like a cutoff where if you're a teen now, no, but I mean, dude, she has like $1 billion tour. It's got to be some young people.
Yeah, I don't know. High school age and middle school age, both not into. But the little one's been cranking on Eminem, so who knows what kind of. That's a whole different conversation. I mean, again,
just getting jacked in her room to lose yourself.
It's before the game, and she's like, "Can we listen to my music on the way to the game?"
Oh, she's got a hype mix,
of course, thinking it's going to be some crappy new. And she throws on like early Eminem, and I'm like, oh, like how do I both be a little bit disappointed she's listening to Eminem at this probably similar age that we were getting into it, but at the same time, I'm like. Yeah, this is good. Like get hyped up before a game music. You know?
You just have to. Did she have a good game? And that's whether you decide whether she can listen to more Eminem.
Yeah, top level performance.
Speaking of M&Ms, have you gotten the cookie dough brownies from Little Caesars that have M&Ms in them?
I thought you were about to ask me a legitimate question about M&Ms.
No,
that was good.
No,
Very
this
good.
this is why I am a transition pro. But again, Little Caesars, it's easy to talk about Little Caesars because they're the official pizza sponsor of the NFL, the official pizza sponsor of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. Pizza pairs perfectly with a great NFL Sunday. I mean, we got another London game, so we're going to be putting in another 12, 14 hour day. You need to load up on some Little C's, give you that energy in the afternoon. Love the pretzel crust, the delicious buttery pretzel crust surrounding that pepperoni piled high. Order online during our pizza pregame 1 hour before and 3 hours after NFL kickoffs, plus all day Sunday. So many great times to get in. They actually have stuffed crazy bread. I have not tried that yet. That is on my Little Caesars list to order. The cookie dough brownies are just, I mean, the amount of chocolate they squeeze into one brownie is just delicious. Caesar wings, they pair great with all the dipping sauces. Toss on a nice little 2-liter Pepsi and you're good to go. Delivery or in store with their pizza portal pickup. Very easy. Grab some friends, enjoy a few slices. Little Caesars pizza. And we're also brought to you by Manscaped. You thought last year they outdid themselves with Ball-O-Ween, and but now they're moving north of the border to your face. That's right, to give your face the cleanest shave it's ever seen. If you trust it with your balls, you got to trust it with your chin. Manscaped, love Manscaped. They've been advertising on here for years. They said we just got it. Any chance we can have, Sean, talk about his pubes or his beard. We are in. The Handyman, a skin safe technology, help reduce nicks and cuts. Feel confident. The Beard Hedger Pro Kit is awesome. You don't want to look like a wolf man. How? that's an injured wolf man. Beard Hedger is a must and keeps the beard nice, trimmed, clean look. And when you use our promo code SGP, 20% off and free shipping. Manscaped.com.
Well done, Sean.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's interesting. They're going from the balls to the face. I was always taught to go the other way.
Well, and then that's why they have a separate trimmer for it. You don't want to be trimming your beard with the lawnmower. That's why they have the Beard Hedger separate from the lawnmower.
Rules as old as time itself.
All right, we're going to be talking props, Thursday night football first touchdown, and of course the Degen only parlay.
Sean, we're already to week 6.
Yes.
Can you believe it?
Well, you tried to start crowbarring in. Can you believe it on week 4 and week 5? I got ahead of it.
Yep.
I did not see. Can you believe it's week 6 here?
Oh, I can't believe we're here. I'm fully clear. I would say that I think our Tom Cruise would say about my current mental state. I've done a lot of flushing.
Yes.
So I'm clear.
You're clear. You're ready to go. Dialed in, laser focused.
Based on that handicap of the last couple primetime games, I'd say I'm pretty dialed in. Didn't just I'm not one of these, hey, I'm just throwing darts at first touchdown. No. Gave you a full fucking handicap. Nailing it.
Yes. And
feel like a golfer after like a 3-hole stretch where you go birdie, par, birdie. Fucking that's as good as it gets.
I feel really good about the first touchdown bets. All right. Is our guest available, right?
I think so.
Okay.
He's always available.
Joining us on the line, man, the myth, the legend, Scott Reichel. You know him from the NFL Gambling Podcast and the Tennis Gambling Podcast. I know the tennis Degens go pretty hard. What's happening in the tennis world, Scott?
A lot of matches at around 3 a.m. So I'm watching them all.
Yes, that's Scott's time to shine. Do you have something I can get down on at 3 a.m.? Perfect.
Well, there's nothing else going on, so he's very focused on just the tennis. It makes a lot of sense.
It's bad news for the books if Scott can just have tennis, laser focus, got it dialed in. How's your NFL season going so far, Scott?
So far, it's been going okay. I've been hitting more on the props and the actual sides, but overall, you're getting a pretty good gauge of which teams are constantly backable. Maybe your team, not to try to pump your ego up a bit high, but there are a couple teams to fade. Which, sorry to kick Cranwallis down, perfect, but it kind of balances out that way. But you're starting to be able to tell which teams are elite, which teams are really not that good. Is it me or does it feel like there's a lot of teams that are really not that good?
Yeah,
you get the same feeling.
I was saying the same thing. I would go more with like the divide between the good and even the middle class is stark now.
Well, and even teams that we thought like, oh man, the Dolphins, they're going to be historic. Then they get their ass kicked by Buffalo. And then Buffalo, it's like, oh, Buffalo's back. They're good. Don't worry. And then they lose outright to Jacksonville. All my Eagles friends who kept bitching, even when we were 4-0, oh, we haven't won by enough. I go, guys, this is how the NFL is. Like September is a pretty sloppy month.
What's their ATS
football.
record?
Eagles?
Yeah.
Well, it depends. Do you grade that Minnesota as a push?
Give it a push.
So it's 3-1-1 then.
That's they're ahead of the curve then. For a team that's laying points every game to be ahead on the ATS record means they're outperforming the market clearly because they're already getting more love in the market because you would assume the public action's coming their way.
Yeah, and it's just been an interesting season. I think we're going to continue to see this where teams kind of just the league in general a little sloppy to start in September and then
it's all these
October.
Fucking country clubs like in East Rutherford.
And
throw the pads on.
No,
let me see some Oklahoma
camp.
drill.
Yeah,
Dan Campbell's on to something.
Well, it's probably why Detroit came out firing.
Yeah,
looking really good. They just run the Oklahoma drill constantly in Detroit. Scott, we're gonna get to the props real quick though. Like, walk us through your process of props. I know you like betting them, you like grading them. You open up the computer. Thursday night props. What do you hop it in on? Is it just you have a lean and then you start researching? Walk us through your process.
Well, I tend to start off going through the actual probability of props hitting in the past. So I'll go through recent games just to see how often they're being used, if they're being utilized properly, the injury report, stuff like that. I also tend to look at the snap count pretty consistently because I do want to know how often my guy's going to be on the field. And I do want to know the overall pecking order at a specific position, running back or wide receiver, for example. If your guy's getting a boost in snap count, for example, Brees Hall against the Broncos last week. You
Yes.
saw Brees Hall officially off of a pitch count there, and you knew that his snap count was going up every week because Dalvin Cook's not any good. And next thing you know, Brees Hall leads the league in rushing that week because Denver's really bad against the run. We'll get into that in a second. But the snap count was able to dictate some of that trend continuing, and that's an example of that. But I tend to look at snap counts. I'll go through matchups, injury reports, stuff like that. Then I'll dive into the overall props, and I'll go through the actual lines, the spread, the total, stuff like that. If you see a high total, you're going to expect to see a lot of touchdowns, obviously, and a lot of yards. And with the spread, we'll talk about that in a second with this game. You're expecting one team to do a lot more of the scoring than the other because the Chiefs are expected to score about 30 points in this game. So I try to I construct a game script that I think the game's going to follow, and then I'll build a parlay around that, stuff like that.
Love it. Yeah, I mean, I think over the years, like looking into snap percentage is something that I didn't do maybe years ago that I feel like has been a good part of the process because especially with
it's a super easy tool. And I mean, it's like there's two ways to look at it. You look at snap count overall, and you look at snap count down in like the scoring areas for touchdown stuff. And maybe
especially
you
for like
in,
first touchdown too, like the red zone, not only the targets, but are you consistently out there when they're in the red zone? Are you consistently out there, period?
Or just when are you out there,
Yeah.
right? That can help inform how you're going to be used. And again, most of this stuff, all of this stuff is freely available. So
yeah, very easy to find. All right, Scott, kick it off. What's your first prop for Thursday night football?
All right, so I'm actually going to go to a touchdown prop. I am going to go with Pacheco to go higher than half a receiving or rushing touchdown. He scored a touchdown in each of the last 3 games. I said before, Kansas City has a team total of 29.5. So you're assuming they're probably going to score 3-4 touchdowns, maybe more in this game. A lot to go around. And Denver is allowing 187.6 rushing yards per game, which is the most in the league by a wide margin. It's the highest number I can remember through about 5 weeks. They can't stop anybody. So I think that Pacheco getting into the end zone does seem like a pretty safe option since Kansas City might lean more on the ground game for this matchup. But I do like Pacheco to score a touchdown in this game.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, the Denver, I know going into last week, they had historically the worst defense by DVOA. I don't think their performance against the Jets probably, maybe it helped a little bit because but still, they're just so bad on defense. I actually went to the other side. I went offense. Russell Wilson lower 228.5 passing yards. I mean, he had 223 passing yards against the Chicago Bears. If you're not able to light them up passing yards wise, I just don't think it's going to happen. 196 against the Jets, who arguably have a decent passing defense. Raiders only 177. This Chiefs defense is really pretty effective, and why they're going to be a handful in the playoffs, assuming they kind of get that high powered offense going at some point. But yeah, Russell Wilson, this passing offense seems completely out of sorts. His confidence seems shot. And, by playing Russell Wilson lowers, unders, I think there is a chance he gets pulled at some point during this game.
Why this game?
Because Sean Payton, I mean, you saw his reaction when he fumbled the game away. I think he's really ready to snap. I feel like if there is a game and he wants to humiliate Russell Wilson, you got to do it on prime time. Am I crazy for thinking this might be the game that he gets pulled? If he has a really bad first half, are they bringing him out for the second half?
Just to ask, by the way, he was taking snaps when the Dolphins had 70 points, right? Just making sure. Wilson was not benched in that game. So
no, he wasn't.
That's a great point, Scott.
That's a good point.
And I like
Scott.
how you said that without making Sean feel stupid about it.
Well, because he's not wrong, because Peyton's getting more frustrated every week. But I'm just saying, if you're not going to get benched when your team's down 50, you might be fine for the sake of playing in the fourth quarter.
I'll say this:
maybe he was
they at least were moving the ball a little bit, and it was a bunch of receiver fumbles that were really killing them. I'm just saying, I would not be shocked if he gets pulled from this game, even if he plays the full 60 minutes.
I like this angle. I might have to.
Well,
steal this.
if it's a competitive game, I don't think it's because they're Russell Wilson is lighting it up passing.
You saw that his fumble, his higher half fumble is a spicy
1.75. They know our audience is just gonna love that.
He fumbled twice last week, so
that's the official spicy sound drop.
Oh, I thought that was the fumble sound drop.
Kramer, what do you got?
Well, you guys both kind of teed up an angle that I'm in on, so I'll go back to what Scott was talking about in Pacheco. I don't mind the touchdown angle. I went rushing yards angle. I think they could lean on the running game a little bit more. And when you see what Pacheco does when he gets the volume, a couple weeks back, 20 carries versus the Jets, 115 yards. Last week, a strange 16 for 55 against the Vikings. Maybe it even has this number depressed a little bit, but this is a banger of a matchup, and I think they lean into him. I think he's finally all the way healthy, and I'd be surprised if he doesn't have the efficiency to get over this number. So, give me higher than 74.5 rushing yards.
Yeah, I mean it's hard not to like.
Well, also just the way that they haven't. So last year it felt like the Chiefs were working in on their defensive backfield was like a work in progress all year. And then finally in the playoffs, they got there. It feels like that's what the receivers are this year.
Yeah.
They just have not been lighting it up with their receivers. They're kind of just winning games, letting their defense control stuff, run the ball a little bit. And who knows what this means for the rest of the season, but I mean, it makes me wonder if the under is the way you look in this game. Cause I don't know if the Broncos are going to, the Broncos only help speed it up if they give the defense touchdowns.
Yeah, and that's why it's dangerous to get in on. And there are a couple overs I like, but it is slightly dangerous because this could be an incredible.
Not a totals guy.
If this game ended up being like 17-6, I guess I wouldn't be shocked. Scott, what's your next prop you like here?
So I'm going to transition actually to defense. I'm going to look at a Denver player. I'm going to take Damari Mathis higher than 5 tackles and assists. Couple reasons why he's had at least 5 tackles and assists in every game so far this season. He's had at least 6 in 3 of the last 4. And a big reason why, I'm not sure how often Denver's offense is going to be on the field in this game. Denver ranks 26th in time possession. Kansas City ranks 7th. So I do think the defensive player is going to be on the field for a decent amount of this matchup. Yeah. But I do think when you're looking at going for a trend, or I should say a player that has gone over a number consistently, he's gone over the tackles and assists because, once again, Denver is constantly giving up first downs. They're always on the field. And with the amount of snaps he's on the field for, I think Mathis is a pretty good look here for higher than 5 tackles and assists.
I like that. Needed a defensive.
Yeah, need a little defensive prop handicapping.
All right. So did you want to go?
Oh, sure.
I mean, I was going to.
What do you got?
I have a parlay off of your Russell Wilson take, which is Judy for the same. They just shut down Jefferson. I understand he got hurt, but they were still shutting him down before he got hurt. Judy coming off maybe his best game of the season. Again, maybe you make a lot of sense. It worries me that if he does get benched, that this Judy prop is in danger.
Well, yeah,
but Judy lower than 54.5 receiving yards. Honestly, at some point, why is the media not questioning Sean Payton at all?
Because he was in the media and they seemingly like to give their media friends a pass.
He's not.
Am I part of the media? Because I think he sucks.
Yes.
Am I part of the media?
Well, yeah. Big media like Scott Reichel are going after him.
We're early adopters of the Sean Payton sucks.
He's looked horrible. I initially going into my handicap of the Broncos before the season, I go, all right, well, Sean Payton will at least get these end of game scenarios right, where it's like, hey, Hackett messed up so many of those, like kicking the field goal at 62-yard. Like, okay, Sean Payton's experienced coach, he'll get those right. He hasn't even gotten to spots where those matter because he's been too busy getting his ass kicked. Like, they've looked horrible. It's a scheme thing and it's an effort thing. Like, you see some really, really lethargic, I think would be the best way to describe the tackling. I mean, on that Breece Hall run, it was an awesome run by Breece Hall, but you also saw some really shitty tackling on the other side for the Broncos. Going over to my prop, I'm going Jerick McKinnon higher, 12.5 receiving yards. He's gone over this 3 out of the last 4 games.
It's like one catch. Sean.
It's just one screenplay where the Broncos linebackers or their front 7 are just lollygagging or not being aggressive, arm tackling. Jerick McKinnon's a vet. He's gonna get to that 13 receiving yards. I like that angle. I mean, to the same reason why I like you guys are both on Pacheco. I like that as well. But I think McKinnon is 12.5 receiving yards, especially if Kelsey's out or limited. I do think Kelsey will play, but yeah, Jerick McKinnon higher 12.5 receiving yards. That feels like a nice price there. Scott, what else you like here?
Yeah, so I also like the McKinnon play, but I am going to go to another pass catcher on Kansas City. I'm going to go with Justin Watson higher than 21.5 receiving yards. He's had at least 40
too. This is crazy, right?
He's had at least 45 in 4 of the first 5 games of the season. He's had at least 27 in 6 of the last 9. You mentioned that Kelsey's banged up. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to generate that much separation in this matchup, and you might be limited in terms of snap counts. But you're looking at Kansas City's receivers, and I'm not sure how many of them are actually like good. We can talk about it because Scantling hasn't been really underwhelming this year. I think Rice is pretty good, so we'll see what he does. I know people were high on Ross. He hasn't really contributed much so far this season. But Kansas City just throws guys out there to see what works, and he did catch a pretty important jump ball from Mahomes on that 3rd down arm punt in that second half against the Vikings. But Watson is a big play receiver. That's why the line's a bit low, because his reception count is usually around 1 or 2 every game, but he's always down the field. Surtain's not going to be guarding him, so you can argue that Surtain will take away another pass-catching option, and I do think as a result you're looking at Watson. 1 catch might get it done, but when you've had at least 45 in 4 of the first 5 games, I'm taking it to have at least 22.
Yeah, and he does seem like their deep threat. I think if Kelsey is limited at all, that helps him. I mean, you nailed it. Like I don't his snap percentage is right up there. I don't see how Justin Watson doesn't have at least 22 receiving yards feels very low for him. He could, yeah. I mean, 1 play for Justin Watson, 22 receiving yards is not crazy at all. This feels really low. Yeah, I'm all over this. Kramer, what else you like?
All right, so decided to get a little spicy. That's all right, but I'm tailing both of you guys. By the way, I've expanded mine out to 5 because I piggybacked on the Watson play. The Watson play is genius because he runs at least 3 times a game. He runs some sort of longer or like high A dot route.
Yeah.
In like against like on the other side of a bunch formation or like where he's definitely gonna have single.
Yeah, they
coverage.
like go out of their way to draw up that kind of stuff for him.
Yeah. See, that one seemed easy, and then I'm tailing you on the Russ. I'm kind of doing a little correlation with Judy and Russ there. So I expanded mine out to 5, and the 5th one's a spicy one.
Ooh,
Sean, I have a question for you.
Yeah, I'm listening.
After Isaiah Pacheco, who has the most targets or opportunities in the red zone for the Chiefs over the last 2 weeks?
Rashee Rice.
Oh,
okay.
1.75 on Underdog, aka plus 175. We're gonna play the anytime game with him. He scored 1 last week. So maybe the price a little depressed, but obviously they're a guy. Like he's being used in the red zone. He's being used in the gadget stuff. And if Kelsey is out now, I did read that Amazon is preparing as if Taylor Swift will be at the game. So a Kelsey.
This will be great if a Swiftie can beat Adam Schefter to the Travis Kelce start news on Thursday night. That'll be the media coming full circle because I mean, like the gossip, they scout out their houses. They're all like they literally follow their life. So if a Swiftie breaking NFL news would really come full circle.
Yeah. So I don't know if Amazon has inside info, but it does sound like they are preparing as if she's going to be there.
Okay.
And so just I bring it up only to say, I do think that I think Rice's chances increase if Kelsey, I don't think it's another tight end. I think it's Rice. And so, yeah, if Kelsey somehow misses out, that being said, Kelsey, his anytime, AKA his higher lower on Underdog is even money, which that's the best price you're going to find in the market. I think I saw him on FanDuel at minus 130 anytime. So if you're looking to maybe add a cheaper square, if he's playing, I like him to score.
Yeah.
So are you saying that since Taylor's going to be there, he might be in the booth hanging out with Taylor? So he might not
wow,
play?
I didn't.
No, well, he practiced today. I more think that if
he might be a decoy.
No, if she's there, they have to have the touchdown so they can go to the box for extended period of time. It's in the script, almost certainly.
He didn't against the Jets.
No, I know. It didn't. Well, that was the
he's
first.
only scored.
That
when
was
she's
episode
not there.
1. Oh wow. Well, I mean, scored on the field.
Yes.
Yeah.
Of course.
She definitely seems like he must be scoring. Kelsey doesn't seem like the kind of guy that's not scoring off the field.
He's one of those guys who will get penetration.
Hey, if you like any of these prices, head over to Underdog Fantasy. Get in on their pick'em. As Ryan was mentioning, they got the Scorchers. You can get it all the way up to 100x if you go 5 for 5 with some Scorchers in there. Underdog Fantasy, the pick'em is great, and they also have that Resurrection, the best ball draft. Basically a rest of the season.
I like the name.
Yeah, Resurrection. You get another chance. My best ball draft's not looking amazing right now, so I'll be getting in on Underdog Fantasy. Promo code SGPN, 100% deposit bonus up to $500. That is a limited time offer. We'll see how long they keep that up, but right now, 100% up to $500. Moving over to the first touchdown market, where Kramer's been on a heater. Kramer, I'll save you for last. We'll let our guest go first here. Scott, what do you like here for the first touchdown market?
So it is going to tie into the spicy play that Kramer suggested. I do like Rashee Rice. First touchdown at 14-1. He scored a touchdown in 2 of the first 5 games this season. He had a touchdown last week. Does seem like the Chiefs are trusting him a bit more. He also almost had a touchdown in that Bears game. I believe he was tackled at the 1-yard line. But I like how he's played. We said before that Kelsey might be limited. Even money for Kelsey touchdown, that kind of tells you, based on the market price and what he usually is, he's compromised, which is definitely obvious if you ended up watching the game. He looked better in the second half, but I wonder all the injections he got at halftime to help deal with the pain. But the point is, I don't think Kelsey's near 100%, and the receiving core has been a bit iffy. It does seem like Mahomes is starting to trust more in Rice. He had some drop problems in preseason. Seems like he's over those. I like Rice first touchdown score at 14-1.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Love that. It's a great angle. I'm on Rashee Rice as well. The red zone targets, everything that Scott said, he nailed it. He's 14-1. I also got Kansas City defense, special teams. Make sure you get the defense special teams, not just the defense. 28-1. My theory is Russell Wilson sucks. I mean, we saw Mac Jones kind of just keep giving up defensive touchdowns.
He's pretty good at that.
Russell Wilson seemingly on a similar path there. 28-1 feels like a good price. And I wouldn't be shocked they break something special teams. If you have a team like the Broncos with a lot of quitting them and some bad arm tackling spreads, and especially into the return game. Last but not least, I'm only playing one Bronco in the first touchdown market. Yeah.
Diabolical.
Give me Adam Troutman, 31-1. He's been out there for 90% of the snaps. He's essentially their starting tight end. He had a touchdown last week. He is clearly Sean Payton, one of his guys. Sean Payton is down to just his guys. So yeah, Adam Troutman, 31-1. Scott, you got any other first touchdowns you like?
Yeah, so I also have Chiefs defense special teams. I didn't have a choice.
Yes.
Look at
I was going to have to take that for the value, especially with Denver and how careless they can be with the football. To go through some numbers on that, the Broncos are averaging 1.6 turnovers per game, which is tied for the 6th most in the league. Wilson has thrown 1 interception each of the last 2 games against Kansas City, and Wilson has been sacked at least 4 times in each of the last 2 starts against Kansas City. We saw the strip sack touchdown against the Jets last week. They can't really pass protect against Kansas City, and that might be an issue for Denver in this matchup. So give me the Chiefs special teams and defense as well. And I did pick one Bronco. I did pick Cortland Sutton at 18-1. He's had a touchdown in 3 of the first 5 games. He's played at least 83% of the snaps in every game this season. He's clearly Wilson's favorite red zone target. So if you want to make an argument for Denver, maybe surprising some people and scoring the first touchdown, I think 18-1 is a bit high. Kansas City's pretty good against the run. Denver doesn't have many running backs at this point. McLaughlin's more of a pass catcher. I don't know if Javante's healthy or not. But Sutton has easily been Wilson's favorite target in the red zone. I think 18-1 is a bit high. I'll take the value there.
Yeah, he's looked not good except for in the red zone, which it makes me sad. I definitely drafted a lot of Cortland Sutton this year. So the touchdowns have been nice, but he doesn't look like the same receiver he used to be. All right, you ready for this?
Let's go.
Do we have a drum roll sound effect or something that we can hype up?
I can do some dramatic music for you, Ryan. in this quarter.
Trying to jinx it. So yeah, I pulled the numbers. I did the research. Turns out the system for tonight, 12 personnel all the way around.
Really?
Oh yeah. No Kelsey.
Okay.
We like the fact. We don't like the fact that he's obviously injured because it's driven down the prices for the other guys. But we're gonna go Noah Gray at 14-1. We're gonna go Blake Bell at 21-1. Simple.
Yep.
Not gonna overthink it. Thought about going half unit on Kelsey, but I do think he's a little banged up. On the other side, this is where we're hoping Denver maybe scores fast. Troutman 31-1. Already kind of discussed it. He was also a guy we discussed last week. Ended up scoring a touchdown, and then we're gonna go with the backup. The clear number 2, probably getting about 40% of the snaps, Mr. Chris Manhertz, which is a great tight end name. Manhertz.
Oh, I wish Berman was around to see this. Manhertz.
100-1.
What?
Worth noting, both of these teams.
What was his snap count last game?
Fortunately, I have that memorized. No, I'm just kidding. I have to pull up the tab. He was out there
24%.
24%.
All right.
He's the only other tight end with a red zone target on the season. And again,
is Dulcich just completely off the radar, right?
He's been well, Peyton, he sends people to the like he's in the Randy Gregory camp of you've been put out to pasture.
There's very clearly guys that Sean Payton likes and guys he doesn't like.
Not one of Peyton's guys right now. We were definitely, the fantasy community was spoofed on that one in the offseason.
Oh, they're going to be using him in the Joker. Role. Yeah, no, I think
this was Sean Payton ripped that bong and he started talking to some guys about Dulcich being a Joker, and they're like, "What, Joker role? That's electric." All right, I was pulling up the DVOA, which haven't talked a lot about DVOA right now. It's a sensitive subject.
FTNfantasy.com. That's where they got it.
Yeah, sensitive subject. We haven't been discussing a lot. My eyes, Sean. It's really just about my eyes. That both these teams god awful against the tight end. Which I was bringing up the tight end rankings, and it was really impressive how bad the Eagles have been against the tight end. It doesn't seem to matter. Maybe tight ends matter.
Go Birds.
Maybe tight ends matter less than running backs, but. Both these teams in the bottom 10 in DVOA against the tight end. They've given up gobs of fantasy points. So, yeah, that's the system. All tight ends.
Simple system, Ryan.
Yeah, surprised you weren't on it. You love a good tight end.
I do. I have Troutman in there. But yeah,
you don't have all tight ends.
No, you're right. I don't. Hey, you know what? Maybe you got a system. Maybe you got some parlay ideas. Well, you got to head over to HOFBets.com. Use that code SGPN. Get 50% off your first month. They got you covered. The revolutionary parlay optimizer. You go hit by it's great. You just add in your different legs of the parlay. It'll calculate the odds based on previous hit rates, and you can sort like, hey, do you want just the last 3 games? Have you noticed a trend, or do you want to go last 2 years? Whatever it is, they got you covered there. And it's not just NFL, NBA right around the corner. Perfect for helping you get some plus EV. SGPs for the NBA. Love this Hall of Fame bets tool, and the app really easy to use. So download the Hall of Fame bets app or visit HOFBets.com. Use code SGPN to get 50% off your first month today. Start researching, start winning with Hall of Fame bets. Hall of Fame guest Scott Reichel will let you kick things off here.
Which, by the way, Sean, what Scott was talking about earlier, looking at historical stuff, Hall of Fame bets very good for that.
Yeah, you hit the deep data button, they'll just tell you like, hey, this is how many games he's gone over 35 receiving yards. Like for Justin Watson, it's very easy.
It does a lot of it's way better than staring at Pro Football Reference.
Yeah, and just trying to eyeball it or pull out I know I'm in too deep when I used to pull out my phone calculator. I'm like, what am I doing? if only there was another way. HOF Bets has us covered. Scott, what do you like for a parlay here for Thursday Night Football?
All right, so I am going to go to a couple of Chiefs touchdown scores. I'm going to go with Pacheco first half touchdown.
Nice.
I'm not sure it's going to be exactly like the Bears game where they score 34 points in the first half, but it might get ugly. And I do think Kansas City has a decent chance of scoring 3 touchdowns in the first half, at least 2. So I do think Pacheco's going to get one of them. So give me Pacheco first half touchdown, and I am going to parlay that with McKinnon anytime touchdown, and that 2-pick pays out at around plus 1444. I said before, Pacheco's had a touchdown in 3 straight games. Kansas City's team total is 29.5. Denver's allowing the most rushing yards in the league by a country mile. McKinnon has some crazy historical numbers against Denver with Kansas City. He's had 5 receiving touchdowns in the last 3 games against Denver. So Denver can never cover him. And I think that looking at the anytime touchdown odds for him separately, that's probably worth a straight bet just based on the historical numbers. But I do like that 14-1 parlay. Basically, that's what the odds are. I think Kansas City is going to score a bunch of points. And I do think, once again, it might work out well where Pacheco's going to get an early rushing touchdown. Then they're going to get McKinnon in there. He'll get open. He'll find a seam in the red zone and he'll score. But once again, 5 receiving touchdowns for a backup running back in the last 3 games against this opponent tells me they can't guard him. So I'll take McKinnon to score.
Great nugget. Yeah, no, I'm with you. And
I might have to update my.
So wait, what do you have? You're parlaying all those together,
Just,
or what's?
Yeah, those 2 things, right?
Just a 2 pick for around 14-1.
Love it. Simple, easy, not overthinking it. Ryan, you mentioned
that reminds me of the 36-1 same game parlay I gave out for Sunday Night Football. It's very nice. It's very well thought out.
I always love a good reverse correlation.
Ooh.
So Adam Troutman, we both like him, Ryan, for first touchdown, the 90% of the snaps, the fact that he actually got a touchdown. Maybe he has a game. You mentioned Kansas City. Their one weakness defensively seems maybe to the tight ends. Maybe Adam Troutman gets 2 touchdowns. That's 65-1.
Whoa.
That's pretty good in and of itself. But if you just tie on Kansas City money line, you can get this up to 90-1. So Adam Troutman, 2 touchdowns, Chiefs money line, little reverse correlation there, gets you to a 90-1 parlay.
He has been the guy to score touchdowns. It's been pretty consistent.
Yeah, I mean, he only has 1 this year, but it
was last week.
Yeah,
recency bias, baby.
Well, I do think there is something going on. You look at his not only is his snap share last week, but also there's clearly been a rise from starting out at 72% week 1. Now he's all the way up to 90%. He had his biggest game of the year with the touchdown. I think he's kind of sneakily an interesting play. Maybe he gets this in garbage time, the second one. So yeah, give me Adam Troutman, 2 touchdowns, Chiefs money line. Now you could.
Why are Chiefs money line?
Yeah. What you want? -10.5. It puts it up to like 163. I don't want them to be up by 14 and then Adam Troutman to get the second touchdown and then lose the -10.5.
That's fair.
So I'm just going Chiefs money line, keeping it safe, Ryan, at 90-1.
Okay.
What do you got for us?
Tight ends. I said I like the tight ends. So Noah Gray anytime, which is +240. Pretty nice. Especially if Kelsey's banged up a little bit. We got Adam Troutman anytime 5-1.
Oh, wow. Really?
We put those together with a Chiefs -16.5 onslaught game script. And like we discussed earlier, what goes along with a nice onslaught game script? Well, we like Pacheco to go on over his rushing yards. So those 4 things happen. And I hate to outdo you, Sean, but +9220.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Over the top.
I just had to. I mean, I've been in a good groove lately.
Yeah, I'm not gonna hate on.
Did
that.
I get too greedy here?
Run it back for the
game.
Noah Gray.
Scott's intrigued.
Noah Gray, Adam Troutman both scored touchdowns.
Scott, as a handicapper, you have a bonus bet on either Ryan's podcast or Ryan's parlay or my parlay. What are you putting your bonus bet on?
So Ryan's got you have 2 touchdowns for Troutman. Kansas City's going to win the game. So I basically have a 90-1 on 1 leg. I got to remember what yours were again. So you have Gray to score, you have Troutman to score, you have Pacheco rushing, and you have what's the last one?
Chiefs alt -16.5.
If I had to pick one of the 2, I'd probably pick Sean's because there's just less things that have to go right for me to get there. But
sharp.
That's how you. I keep mentioning this, but if you're gonna go with the long shot stuff, to Scott's point, it's essentially 2 plays with Adam Troutman and then Chiefs winning. And if you're like us and you're kind of conceding that the Chiefs will win this game, then it's just 2 things that have to happen. Versus some of these people put together these parlays. There was a guy who shared a parlay slip. It was like college football. It was like a 16 team money line parlay with all favorites. And then he had Miami money line. It was like, oh, this is a bad beat. It's like, no, it's not a bad beat. It's a bad parlay. Like, what are you doing parlaying all these college football favorites? Like, all it takes is one wacky thing to go wrong. And I think it was only like, it was like 12-1 or something. Like you can find that in one play, first touchdown.
I understand the point you're trying to make, but just to be clear, Miami pulling up Hazard with no timeouts is definitely a bad beat, right?
Yes, you're right.
I mean,
you're right.
So it is a bad beat. Can we at least agree on that point? That's an all-time bad beat.
If you had Miami money line, it was a bad beat, but you should you can't complain about this ill-constructed parlay. You can get that price in a much easier fashion than having to have 14 games or whatever he was go right.
Gamble responsibly.
Yeah, gamble responsibly. The less things, the better.
If you wanted to be responsible, and maybe you liked Jerick McKinnon anytime better than Noah Gray, that version of my parlay would actually pay out if I swapped the Noah Gray out, Jerick McKinnon in, everything else the same. 1 + 13077. So I'm also going to play a version of the parlay that includes Scott's Jerick McKinnon angle. So
I like the Jerick McKinnon.
I'll cover it both ways.
Maybe get him in some of the spicy stuff.
God, I'm gonna have too many again tonight.
No, look out.
Hopefully I don't win again.
Yep.
Look,
God help us
if you lose, because if you win, you wish you had more on it. So it's all hindsight.
Well, I do have some sad news, Sean. I'm noticing I have maybe caught a little bit of a limit on some of
really?
It's like the first touchdown bets.
At some point they start kind of going, all right, we're not going to give you all the money.
Yeah, you can bet $5.77 on this one. That's not a bad payout.
Scott, what do you got going on SGPN this week? Where can people check you out?
Doing tennis podcast episodes basically every day at this point. Besides that, just recorded a Coach of the Year award breakdown for the NBA season. Don't look now, NBA season right around the corner. For me personally, I'll be betting on hockey tonight, so I'll be busy watching the opening night of the NHL. I basically watch any sport that's on. I got the WNBA Game 2 for the finals episode tonight with Terrell, so I'll be doing that too, along with the Thursday Night Football episode. So keep them busy.
Yeah, I love how Scott includes. I'll just also personally be gambling on the NHL.
Well, you said what I'm up to, and I know this is a gambling podcast. I wanted to state I'm also gambling on hockey. So in case anyone was worried, I'm betting on everything.
Wait, Scott's not gambling enough. We're concerned for your well-being.
And make sure you give him a follow on X.
Yes, good follow for sure at Reichel Radio.
Some of the better
called
commentary.
It X. I'm impressed. I'm still going with Twitter.
Yeah. Even for old guys, we've been ahead of the game with calling it X.
Feels fun.
Thank you for participating in the Sports Gambling Podcast.
Hey, we'll be back with the bonus Underdog Resurrection episode, and then of course NFL picks. We got our props, DFS show, so much to go, and of course the Friday night show over on VSiN. 9:00 Pacific for Sports Gambling Podcast. I'm Sean, stacking the money green. He's Ryan.
Yeah, NBA's back. Check out the NBA Gambling Podcast. NHL is back. Check out the Hockey Gambling Podcast.
Kramer, let it ride.